Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This week, we are continuing our latest weekly exploration of the fascinating world of Cole Porter.
Yes, what we've been affectionately calling Porter-Pedia.
Exactly. And today, we've stacked the source material not on his music, but on the objects he actually carried.
We are looking at what is maybe the most intimate and certainly the most jeweled archival record of his professional life.
We're talking about his staggering collection of bespoke cigarette cases. Okay, so let's unpack this. We found a great literary hook that really ties his art to these objects.
Yes, that's perfect.
The line from his 1938 song, "Just Another Page in Your Diary," and the witty breakup line goes, "You were just another brand of cigarettes in my case."
I mean, it's brilliant, and that line just perfectly pivots us from the metaphorical
To the very, very literal. Because Porter had, quite literally, a case for nearly every major professional milestone in his life.
And that's really the starting gun for this deep dive. Our mission is to treat these accessories, these incredible jeweled cases, not just as, high society sparkle.
Right.
We're treating them as miniature stage curtains.
Miniature stage curtains, I love that.
You see, each one holds the essence of an entire opening night right there in its hinge. It's a parallel autobiography of his career, and this is crucial of his marriage.
So to really get where this collection even came from, we have to talk about smoking and Cole Porter's public persona.
Absolutely. It wasn't just about nicotine. This was completely integral to his carefully curated image.
His high society look.
Exactly. If you read period commentary from the 30s, the 40s, Porter is always described as impeccably dressed, charming, and almost always with a cigarette in hand.
He was a marker of that casual European sophistication,
Yeah.
a key part of the whole visual story he was telling about himself.
His legendary glamour was just incomplete without it.
But this is where it gets really interesting, because the sources point to a kind of historical silence.
Yes.
While he was constantly depicted with a cigarette, and his whole world embraced smoking culture, we don't actually know how much he smoked.
No. There's no authoritative, quantitative record, or even what brand he liked.
So the image was everything, but the mundane details are just gone.
Precisely. And that raises a really interesting question, doesn't it? If we're so vague on the actual physical habit.
Then maybe the image of smoking, the accessory, the pose, the cigarette case itself, was far more important to his self-presentation than the act of smoking.
I think that's exactly right. The ritual, the prop that defined the man.
So if the habit is a bit of a mystery, what explains the incredible investment in the cases themselves?
And that's where Linda Lee Thomas Porter, his wife, enters the story. She transforms an accessory into an archive.
This is the core ritual, then.
It is. Linda started this long-running tradition. She would mark Cole's new productions by giving him a specially made, totally bespoke cigarette case.
So they were like a repeated toast, as one source puts it.
A perfect description. A physical signal of attention, of immense pride, and a consistent declaration of their partnership, project after project.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, this isn't just a family myth. This is a solidly documented claim.
Oh, it's completely concrete, especially when you look at the years the Porters were embedded in the Verdura circle.
Verdura being the super chic European jewelry house.
The one founded by Duke Fulco di Verdura. He was basically the go-to jeweler for high society, for people like Coco Chanel.
Okay.
And Verdura's own official brand history states they created at least 20 jeweled cigarette boxes, specifically for Cole Porter opening.
At least 20. That's not just a few gifts. That is a sustained 2-decade-long campaign.
A campaign of artistic patronage, really.
And it's so important for you, the listener, to grasp that these were not off-the-shelf luxury items.
Not at all. They were bespoke, themed, engraved, made by elite houses like Verdura and Cartier. They were basically miniature functional sculptures.
And they really embraced this aesthetic of the object as a trophy.
Totally. They are designed to document the achievement. You can see it on the Verdura piece that's now at the Museum of the City of New York, the MCNY.
What does that one look like?
It's marked with 3 key trophy-like pieces of information. The title, Broadway Melody of 1940,
Okay.
the credit, Cole Porter, composer, and the maker, 14 Keat, Verdura.
That feels so crisp. It's almost journalistic. It's not a sentimental gift. It's a solid pocket-sized acknowledgement of a professional win.
Linda was celebrating the hit maker.
That's the classic high-gloss trophy look. But the tradition also had room for wit and personal humor, right?
Oh, absolutely. Which we see in this major exception, the Cartier case that's held by the New York Public Library.
The NYPL one. This one is wonderful because it proves the tradition was based on love and support, not just on success.
It really does. It was a Christmas gift from 1934, and it's inscribed, Adios, Argentina.
Adios, Argentina, which, for those of you keeping score, was a completely ill-fated, unproduced film musical. It never happened.
It was a bomb before it even went off, and yet Linda honored it. The only thing to survive that whole project, actually, was the song Don't Fence Me In,
which he repurposed later. So here is Linda, commissioning an incredibly expensive, customized gift to commemorate a failure.
I think that just speaks volumes about her belief in his creative process.
And the case itself, wasn't it decorated?
Yeah, with an engraved caricature of Porter sitting at his piano. It adds this intimate, almost silly quality to all the glamour.
So the tradition was project-specific, even if the project went sideways?
Exactly. And the object itself becomes this piece of history that, traditional paper records, which tend to focus only on the hits, might just overlook.
Let's dig a bit deeper into the anatomy of these cases, because the craftsmanship tells its own story. The design grammar, as the sources call it.
Especially Verdura's. They really elevated the case into an objet d'art.
So what was that language they were speaking?
It was a language of coded meaning and real material opulence. Verdura was known for this bold gold work, vibrant enamel colors, and these huge cabochon gems.
And critically, they were designed like little propaganda pieces for the shows.
That's a great way to put it. They always had a design, hook a symbol, or a motif that literally speaks the show.
So for a show set in Venice, maybe a little gondola or something.
Precisely. A stylized gondola or a mask motif. It makes the case a kind of wearable program cover.
Which places Verdura's mid-century aesthetic right at the center of this cross-pollination between Broadway glamour and 20th century jewelry innovation.
And this is key. They were translating the ephemeral experience of a stage production, which only lasts for the run,
into something permanent, a permanent, tactile, valuable object.
It was a way of solidifying the success and the memory of the collaboration.
Okay, let's get to the big logistical question our listeners are probably asking. How many of these jeweled treasures actually existed, and where do they all go?
So as we said, the sources point to a pretty safe, defensible number. At least 20 Verdura cases, and likely more, plus others like the Cartier one.
So when people say one for every opening, that's more directionally true than a literal count.
Exactly. It describes the social practice, it signifies Linda's sustained attention, but it's not a precise archival count.
And why isn't it a strict one-to-one sequence?
Well, because Porter's career was a mix of things. There were reviews, those unproduced films like Adios, Argentina, and then the traditional Broadway shows.
So Linda's giving was flexible. She was supporting all of his efforts.
All of them. Not just the huge Broadway smashes. The practice was really robust during their peak years, but the documentation is, necessarily a little scattered.
And then, after Cole Porter passed away, the collection enters its next chapter, the Great Dispersal.
The Great Dispersal. The afterlife of these cases is a familiar story of estate dispersal. And the crucial event was the 1967 Park Burnett auction in New York City.
Now, for anyone unfamiliar, Park Burnett was a premier American auction house, a big deal in the mid-century. It later became part of Sotheby's.
Right, and that 1967 date is so critical for this deep dive.
Why specifically?
Because the Yale University Library archives, they document the existence of a specific dedicated Park Burnett catalog just for the sale of Cole Porter's cigarette cases.
Wow, its own catalog.
Its own catalog for a sale on May 17, 1967. This implies they were offered as a defined, highly significant, and valuable collection.
The auction itself validated their status. They weren't just memorabilia anymore.
They became collectible art, design history.
And that sale scattered the collection to private hands all over the world, so we can't just visit one museum to see the whole autobiography.
No, we can't. But we can track some public holdings today, which is helpful for anyone who wants to see this legacy for themselves.
Where can you see them?
2 places are solidly confirmed. First, the New York Public Library still has that fabulous Cartier Adios Argentina case with the caricature. And second, the Museum of the City of New York holds at least one Verdura case, the one for Broadway Melody of 1940.
And because these are works of art, they still circulate. I imagine high-end auction houses see them pop up now and then.
They do. They resurface and recirculate, which means a big part of the set is likely still privately held. Little treasures that only emerge every few years.
The scattering is part of their modern history then.
It is, but it doesn't diminish their significance as these deeply personal biographical records.
So let's circle back to these so what. Why do these cases matter to us today beyond all the glamour and luxury?
Well, I think they offer three really crucial insights.
Okay.
First, they provide a biography that's charted entirely in physical objects. Paper can be edited, but the titles, the dates, the motifs on these
They have
cases,
hard evidence, tangible reality.
undeniable, hard evidence of his decades-long output.
And second, they document the artistic partnership between Cole and Linda in a way that's, well, it's profoundly moving.
It is. Whatever the complexities of their marriage, and there were many, the repeated, deliberate act of commissioning these bespoke, expensive objects.
Again and again.
It just signals this deep, unwavering attention and pride. It's an unbroken tradition of support for the creative act itself.
It goes beyond the simple narrative of a glamorous couple and reveals this real artistic partnership.
She was essentially the official archivist and champion of his career, just using the medium of high jewelry.
And finally, they're a phenomenal piece of design history.
Hugely underestimated. They place Verdura's mid-century style, that bold gold, the playful color squarely at the center of 20th century jewelry innovation. These were not just trinkets.
They were statements about Broadway, American culture, European design, all melding together.
And for me, the most moving detail is just the tactile element. We see them behind museum glass now, static and perfect.
But that wasn't their purpose.
Not at all. Their original purpose was functional, visceral. They were made to be handled. Opened, closed, pressed into a palm, maybe even dropped on a nightclub floor in Venice or New York.
They were used, carried through the peak of the 20th century, taken to dinner after the curtain call. A direct tactile link to that original living purpose.
Right.
This whole discussion really shows how these personalized luxury objects can be the most detailed, intimate, and resilient historical records we have.
It really makes you think about what an archive can be. And if you want to deepen your knowledge of this specific collection, the sources point to an ultimate Rosetta Stone.
Which is?
That single Park Burnett catalog from the 1967 auction. That's the key to locating the full inventory.
So that's our challenge then for you to think about. What other lost histories, what other intimate biographies of success are locked inside the pages of old auction catalogs or hidden away in museum archives?
Just waiting for someone to connect the jeweled dots and bring them back into the light.
Something to think about until our next deep dive.